the concentration onto Shrimzy. Almost, he didn't almost win the 1v3, but he almost did some heavy damage to Sonics before he went out. Fortunately, as I said, they're going to get the revives, and now we can start to pay attention to other members of this lobby. OP versus Cerberus. This was another drop that we were wondering, were they going to fight it out? They sort of just played angry neighbors.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the scrims, they were both sort of contesting over Milter, but I anticipated Cerberus would sort of head more so towards farm and then allow the overpeakers to have pretty much the majority of Milton. I think it's played out that way, but of course that means that they will be in their rotational paths. They will sort of cross by each other, but yeah, this early on, I think the overpeakers have made the right play, gone for a bit more position, closer towards Potato Hill. They'll play off of that for now. New Happy on the move, making their way in now from Yasnaya, so we're kind of now into that sort of portion of the game where teams have started to get on the move, but it's classic Erangel for game one, Cammy. Pretty much dead center circle. There is a lot to still sort of play over here.
Yes. Now we can talk about the rest of the map, the rest of the game, and what should be noted is that the circle is, as you say, dead center, but that means that that river kind of cuts out the entire top quarter. For circle one isn't going to be too aggressive on these teams fighting over for space. But hold on for a second because Uba has another player in his sights. Akkad goes down. Trying to confirm this kill. The shots aren't quite landing, but I don't think anyone else from KDF is going to be in position to get that revive. Akkad was the last player on that rotation, way off on the back, and so Navi are going to be easily able to confirm that kill, and KDF going to have to play as 3.
What a hectic start and a dream start really here for PGC 2022, and to think we've got basically 30 games this week alone between the two groups. There's a lot to sort of fight over, but I will commend the Sonics here firstly as we sort of go back to them, because sometimes you lose that player. It doesn't matter who it is. You lose that player early. It's a 3v4 from there, and then they had roof control. I think Sonic's ability to sort of contain themselves a little bit, get defensive, get what they needed, and then slowly push out, play off of each other with the numbers that they had. They played it really well. They didn't rush the situation they found themselves in.
Yeah. See how they're going to move out of this position now, though, because with the central circle, there's a lot of teams already in what you consider a priority position here. And Sonics, they're traditionally known for moving very quickly off their drop spot, but you can't really do that with the hot drop. But let's get a replay of that. This is the angle that H-Win was holding. Leo was running away from a grenade that Mime was tossing into his position, and H-Win, well, he had plan B.
Yeah, love that angle. It's providing that sort of cover as well from a distance. That's a wonderful shot from Mime. Shen, of course, having a shotgun out as well. Had he been able to sort of hit first, it could have really gone badly for the Sonics. But yeah, as I said, you got to commend the ability to just get yourselves back into a winning position. They did that well, despite almost really losing it in the end to an almost clutch play from Jervis. Obviously, Cerberus sort of on the move here. As we said, around that sort of farm region, they can just push up a little bit northernly. They've got some good spacage. And for me, obviously being the APAC commentator, I might always have a little bit of bias.
A bit.
I'm not on the copium too much for APAC. I understand where they're at, but Cerberus is a really solid team, and Tycon is a really solid player. Just turned 18, PCS 7, the first event that he was available to play for. But ironically, Cammy, he's actually been on the roster longer than all of his Cerberus teammates. So he's been part of this sort of organization since he was 15 years old, and has finally been able to break out. He had a breakout tournament in PCS 7 APAC.
Whoever on that organization, whoever scouted him out, needs a raise, because after all those years of sitting on the sidelines, got in the game and really delivered. Similar story to Gizera in the sense of turning 18 and immediately delivering. And so seeing both of these two rookies in the same group, it's another great advantage that we're going to have here at PGC.
I think that's just going to be a storyline across the board, sort of the young and the old, the new and the veterans, I guess. And in some ways, Twisted Minds, of course, Northern Lights, formerly, beyond that, even Virtus Probe, a team that has so much, I guess, anticipation as to how they're going to perform here at PGC 2022. In my mind, the best team from EU.
Oh, yeah. They didn't win any of the PCSs, but they were like second in all of them. They performed very well, so consistent across the board. And they also, I believe, got third place last PGC as well. So if you want to talk about veteran status, experience, these guys definitely have that. Holding a central position for them, a nice little 2-2 split. And now Begopa also rotating in. These guys coming all the way from Military Island, coming from Novo, crossing the bridge. Not too bad for them, but as is their birthright, it feels like they're constantly taking so much space. And granted, it's on edge of Circle 1 that we're currently seeing them position themselves. So who knows how powerful that's going to be come the next shift. It's still something to notice that their spread is wide.
Yes, obviously taking space was something that we saw a lot of the players talking about in those promotional videos. And unfortunately, at this kind of tournament, it's never easy to take that sort of space as we get our circle shift for phase number 2. It does go over towards that Roshawk River, a little bit more towards the northern side. You mentioned it before. I didn't actually pay that much attention to that. I didn't think it was going to be a factor, but with phase 2 now, it has really shrunk down the phase 2 circle, because as you were saying before, that northern end, it's not really playable at the moment.
Yeah, and there is the potential for it to swing north if phase 3 continues to go the direction that phase 2 just did. Some of these teams all need to have in their mind, but it's not worthwhile to make that cross towards the north just yet. So anyone who can get these positions that we're seeing in Razak, the areas around it with access to the bridges, that's going to be what a lot of teams are going to be going for.
Shots out from James, of course, good positions here around school, around apartments with this kind of circle, anticipating that it is going to come back in that southern direction, potentially even phase 3, but of course, most definitely phase 4 onwards. There it's on 5 from Thailand, making their rotation over to the warehouse just outside of Pichinki. And look, good position to hold for now if you don't want to sort of get in the way of some of these other teams. And that's still one way to sort of play if you want to be on the edge and make your way in slowly without being sort of in those center hot positions.
Pio, as the initial forward player by Begopod, just walking up to Cerberus Esports' position on foot, going for a bike, it looked like. This is just very, very aggressive, very, very confident play, and there it is. Pio takes the first opening shot, but Tycon with the answer doesn't land too many of his own, but it forces Pio away. There's some shots traded across the board from both of these squads. No knock just yet, but they are aware of each other's positions.
Yeah, really smart there from Tycon to just go prone, understanding those shots coming from a direction he's not quite sure. Pio, I thought for a second, was basically in no man's land and would go down. Speaking of going down, kill point goes the way of Mime, courtesy of Vinny from 22 Esports. You'll take that. It's a freebie in the end. That's now 5 kills for Sonic, so they've turned a bit of a bad first 5 seconds into so far a pretty decent game.
Yeah, they're in first place. Stop the count. We win. Sonic's at the top. 5 kills already off the board, which is a really, really good start, as you were saying. Still not into the next zone. Getting delayed again, not just by the hot drop, but also by 22, then rotating past them. They're going to have to make some clear considerations of coming in on the edge. Sonics are traditionally more of a central focused team. That doesn't mean that they can't be a big threat when they have to come in from the side, but they're going to have to pull up a few more uncomfortable positions.
That's been such a talking point for this event, I think more than maybe even previous events gone by. Edge, center, at this point, let's be honest, they can all play whatever is required of them. You can say a team maybe prefers center or prefers edge, but let's be honest, we've got the best teams in the world here, Cammy, and they can all play whatever is needed for 50 seconds, of course, until phase number 3. Quiet at the moment now after a fun little start that we had, and I'm expecting we will have probably for the foreseeable future on Erangel these hot drops. I expect to continue. I'm not too sure if SGD will shy away. If they do, I'm expecting it more so on day 2 for this group.
Couple moments of just solidifying that position as we wait for phase 2 to close. 20 seconds left. And KDF, they made the rotation. They're on the north side of the river. These guys came all the way from military base, the actual military base itself proper. So it's not surprising to find themselves sort of locked out of the southern edge, making the hard decision to go towards the north side. They're going to be hoping for a hard shift, but they might have to cross back towards the south side of the river.
We'll see if it's going to benefit them or not. Worst case scenario, they just cross through that Roshok bridge, and I think they'll have to make that decision right now, and they will. So straight away forward, brings the main way into Roshok, and this is the drive by, not quite going to be successful. Gazera, the only other one left alive for 22 Esports. Not the start that they would have lacked so far, but they must just be able to get into this compound and play safe for the time being. Not expecting anyone else to crash into them, at least momentarily. But off the back of this phase 3 circle, Cam, you can't help but feel suddenly those compound positions, New Happy, Danawa, and then even positions like Apps and School, so big right now for these teams. E5 pushing up onto School now. Twisted Minds are going to have to just try and ward them off.
Ooh, Ranger down to 1 HP. 1 grenade from Lou is going to do it. That's a double knock. Make that a triple. Who is raining fire down on Therodon 5.
Yeah, unfortunately, front entrance was not the path that they took, and unfortunately, climbing over that wall has cost them big time. So Therodon 5 on the verge of being eliminated. I think only Pat Pong is still remaining. Ivas gone, as well as Nailap knocked down here for Entropic. So the pushers are coming out here based on that phase 3 circle shift. Everyone just has to make a move from the edge in towards the center positions. Sparking, Moonage down. So this is actually somewhat winnable still for both of these two teams between Entropic and Yahoo.
The problem is, there are so many teams that are able to third party onto this. You're talking about the compounds. There's so much open area in large parts of this area of the map. So like third party, fourth party, fifth party, sixth party. I mean, Entropic getting inside that building just because of that risk alone.
Yeah, and they're not even technically inside of the circle, Cammy. They're fighting for a position that's not even inside of the Phase 3 circle. And we've got a minute and a half until Phase 4. Here come the Sonics, the three-man Sonics going by Cerberus quietly here. Just to the yellow, close by to Potato Hill. And again, this position technically not even inside of the circle. Cerberus has spotted them. It's Hisaki taking the shot, pulls out the mini, shots back from Shrimsy. Landing a lot better, though, than what Cerberus is throwing at them.
Watch for Mime. Mime is separated. This is just the first initial duo, but yeah, they're not able to find an opening, not able to find a way in. Na'Vi is also there, not just Cerberus, so they might need to make a full wrapping rotation towards the far west side. And they have the time to do so, but they need to make it now. Na'Vi, though, they are distracted by a couple other areas of the map. Again, this sort of openness and the sightlines coming from school apps itself. You really got to try and find that hard cover.
So we watched the replay of Theraton 5 sending it in, and as I said, I think the front entrance might have been a bit better for them. They just kind of got stuck on the corner, and it's not like they initially went down straight away. The time they had here to sort of climb over until that grenade from Lou, obviously shutting down X Grizet and Ranger X, and then, of course, a second following up. So unfortunately for Theraton 5, just a little bit slow and probably not the best entry method either being taken.
Shinboy was discovered, Shinboy was found out, and it looks like your Ho have been removed from the game. Entropic finished what they started, able to get just barely inside the zone. They're in it for a second. Let's see where the next phase goes. It's not going to be north, but it can go any other direction.
So it does go towards the south. East, actually, towards Entropic, but yeah, they're not in, and unfortunately there's no real compounds close by for them to remain in unless they want to push onto the two-man duo of 22 Esports.
Yeah, I mean, that 22, while they might be glad that they got the shift, at the same time they got to be prepared to defend this, because that's going to be a target for a lot of different sends. Entropic, though, not full strength. I don't know if they're going to be trying to send it in that direction necessarily. But let's take a pick up here. They made the rotation coming in from the northeast side. They're north of Gex. They're trying to scout out who's in front of them. And this is a much better direction to try and fight through to get into the circle. There are a couple more compounds as well if you do want to make that sort of push. But again, it's all about finding out that information.
Tiamba just sort of holding out around that Roshawk Hill position. They have allowed the Guangdong Freaks to actually push through Roshawk, so they are inside of that next circle. I do wonder if they may just sort of cross each other's paths in due time. So Sonic's on the move again. So far, all of their entry points have been denied. They tried going by Cerberus, didn't work. Then they got shut down by Na'Vi. And unfortunately for them, I think they may just run straight into Tiamba, who have pulled up to school, backfilling that position that Twisted Minds, of course, were holding before. Sonics pull out into the fields, and 77 is watching this Begapar pushing into pretty much an open compound. Example with a double knockdown onto Himas and Duckmai.
Na'Vi, eyes on Cerberus. More grenades coming in as smokes for cover. Smokes to try and get the revives, because there are a couple of shots it looks like. I'm looking at the map. It looks like New Happy from more central position is also taking some shots down this way. Yeah, very, very long range, but you just got to land a few to either get another knock, get a re-knock. Example, once that grenade, it looks good.
Good pressure. Good pressure being applied by Na'Vi. They smell blood in the water here for Cerberus, and it is a good combination of a team effort from Na'Vi. Up to 7 kills now, and a good start for them in game number 1. They just lost 2 players on the kill feed. Well, Sonics have just lost their entire squad to Twisted Minds, so they go out in 13th position, did collect 5 kills for their effort, despite the hot drop at the start. Not too shabby, but it's Na'Vi who are going to probably suffer a similar fate, where they've got the kills, Cammy, but I don't think they're going to get the placement points.
Yeah, listen, these teams, Na'Vi, Sonics, all of them are in a rough position because of what we've been talking about with the terrain this entire game. So the fact that they're able to get at least a few kills in their pocket before they go out to these more central teams is not a bad game by any stretch. They go out to these more central. But he still has a few meters left to move before he is inside the next zone. He's going to have basically just trees. There's a shack at the bottom of that hill.
He's got to go to apps. He has to go to apps from
honestly
here. And it's not going to be easy, but it's his best option from the position he finds himself in. For now, he can basically just hang on the edge, but I imagine Phase 5 will push him out of that position. 5 seconds away from said circle phase, and Tropic out towards the east, pushing up onto GEX as we do get that circle shift. Well, New Happy, defending champions, they are very happy with this position.
Yes. And they have a lot of line of sight around them as well, so any team that wants to crash them, trying to find that angle to sneak up and get up close and personal before the shots start landing, good luck with that one, because you also have Twisted Minds, you also have Overpeakers coming in from that app position that you just mentioned, taking shots. KDF trying to rotate in, they have nowhere else to go, so might as well try and send it, but already numbers of them have been taken down, have been knocked, getting confirmed. Yeah. T5 get eliminated in the meantime.
Ming confirming, and this is what New Happy have to be ready for, and of course they're going to be quite proactive on the defense, understanding a lot of teams on the edge don't have much that they can play in terms of a halfway point between the compound of New Happy and these current edge positions. Teams will be starting to think about, should we send it in, should we crash that compound and put pressure onto New Happy? Those are going to be some of the question marks, like for Danawa, for example, who are not inside of this circle. Where do you realistically go? Maybe you can play the road from the sort of dip position. And you got teams at apps and school as well. So a lot of teams still need to get moving. And, well, unfortunately for Tang, struggling. Spyro landing a few shots with the mini. For Tiamba, who are obviously now on the move. That blue also making its way in.
Yeah, Tampa is one that I'm the most worried about. They have the furthest to move, and it's the most open area for them. And even if they were to try and crash New Happy, it's not going to be a 4-on-4 because you have Dynamo, you have Overpeakers shooting them as well. So instead, they are going to go towards the north, try and take an isolated engagement. No one can really third-party this as aggressively as if they were to go towards the center. So they're able to land, able to get to the wall. But Danawa Esports are aware of their position, and the blue is right at their back.
Yeah, and I wonder if Tiamba, when they originally went for this, did they have intel that Danawa was still here? I wonder if potentially they thought they could just backfill into this compound that might have been left. Sol gets caught by Chewy. Big kills going away for Danawa, and it's Tiamba that do fall on the backside of that building. So Sol got knocked, but then obviously the response coming from Howland. Well played from Danawa. Now you've got to just kind of get moving and get going. That blue's still a minute away from phase 6. Vegapar started to feel that pressure as well.
Car goes down. Zipiani drops Songjong. It's all falling apart, but again, you can't really blame them too much. Where can you go? Twisted Minds making their own send, making their own wild rotation, finding some bit of cover. Lambu can't even get into the shack before he gets dropped.
9 teams remaining. We're on that sort of bubble point in terms of those placement points, and I do wonder who's maybe more likely to go out at this point. There's quite a few teams that are struggling to hold on. Twisted Minds, though, fall in 9th. They don't get any placement points from this one. They'll take the 5 kills, though, with them. Not a bad start by any means, but unfortunately for Vegapar, how often does this really end well for teams? Basically never.
Hey, the smokes are there from Twisted Minds.
That's true.
Let something stop here, make a little pit stop. And we saw a couple of shots land as well in the rotation, but here comes GEX, so they're going to be following along. Who's going to get the kills here? Only 2 teams enter, 1 comes out alive.
Songjong knocked down, so too hard. DG98 going to have to just do the rest of the work here for Vegapar. They want to stay in this game for a little bit longer. GEX, not really a clean entry. Those smokes ended up being such a positive boon for Vegapar. They've done a decent job, at least, in being able to survive a little bit longer than GEX, who have fallen in 8th position. Too Hard did get knocked as well. So it's only DG98 that is still alive behind that tree, not inside of the next phase circle, but has a little bit of time, still has those smokes up as well.
New Happy to see all the angles, the oppression that they have. It wasn't even BGP that deleted GEX, it was New Happy that got all of those kills. One more send, why not? Just one more, now 22 has to defend against Overpeaker, swinging on in. James opens the door. Wookie Zero down to 2 HP, has to make a stand, but he's gonna fall.
Oh, Hazardton did get one onto VAR. That might be a casualty. What a shot onto Clip as well with the DBS. So 2 for Hazardton, but forced out by the Molotov. Does he just flush here? Surely, just be a little bit greedy. No, he doesn't. It's gonna be revives for Overpeakers. 6 kills, they'll get Vard and Clip back up as well. Not a bad position, but here come Danawa making their way in straight after. This is perfect timing from Danawa.
Do they have time for the revives or Overpeakers? Mixie dropping the grenade, it could be good, but no, the vehicle swings right past, but he has to pull his rifle out.
Yeah, they had to get off of the revives there if they're going to give themselves any chance. Mexi goes down to only James left in 1 versus 4, and perfectly timed. Well, technically it's a 1 versus 2, I should say, but perfectly timed from Danawa, understanding what has just sort of transpired. A couple down. Jim's still alive and is, of course, lingering around that smoke. We go back over, though, to example for Na'Vi, and he has been able to hide perfectly. HS, though, shooting him in the back, and yeah, that's why he was hiding on the other side of the rock for so long.
A good dodge, but it's so hard to guarantee an isolated fight. He's able to get 1 knock, and I think QBE has actually got sent outside of the zone. I don't think he's going to be able to get revived in the nature of the game right now, especially with James able to look at this position. Wait, James is still alive. Wait, Overpeakers are still alive. Wait, what?
Yeah, I said that. James was still alive, lingering around those smokes that hadn't quite dissipated just yet. He still, of course, had the shack on the backside. So it's a 1 versus 2, somewhat winnable for James, but he gets tagged. It's Lucarex from Entropic that unfortunately does hit him early. I will say though, at this point, Cammy, looking at the scoreboard, it's basically who's going to finish second at this point.
Looks to be that way.
Oh, James! Oh, I think we missed that one by the skin of these teeth. James caught them both running out of the doorway. I mean, I imagine just lining them up. That was pretty easy for James. DG98, do you just deny at this point?
Yeah.
He goes down to the blue. 3 teams remaining. So it comes down to whether or not James can get second for Overpeakers.
But Entropic, wait.
Well,
they're actually getting the revive. They're up to 2 right now. So their goal is to try and find where James is. They were on the James' side of the map, so they should know that that's going to be a possibility. Fighting New Happy, let's be honest, 4 in a compound. Still, I mean, unless there's a hardship down
headshot.
south and these 2 European teams team up essentially to try and tear down New Happy, it's going to be a victory for the last PGC champions.
Well, a dream start for those from EU as well. When you think about Entropic, Twisted Minds, Na'Vi, Overpeakers, what they've been able to accomplish
and a
in
crate.
this
Why
first
not?
game. They didn't need that. I mean, come on, guys. Who just said
And it's a cruiser! It's the best late game item in the game.
They had to take away the winner chicken dinner percentage because they know it's game over. Come on, you happy you're not losing from here. Oh, they brought it back 87%. It went down 2% when they got the grocer. Hello? Why is it going down? Go up.
Yeah, it's 100%. I'm going to call it.
Well, it comes down to whether or not, as I said, who's going to come second between Entropic and Overpeakers. I think regardless, though, both teams should be pretty happy with the way that this game has played out for the respective teams that are, of course, still alive for Overpeakers and Entropic. For New Happy, though, I mean, they've had a dream game. They had the compound, 8 kills as well, playing well from that position. Being aggressive, trying to third-party as many fights as they could from that position too.
I love this from New Happy, though. Despite the advantage that they know that they have, they're not just going to be complacent. They're immediately flexing out in multiple different positions. HS is actually leaving the zone to try and find an angle because it's not enough just to get the win. They want to get the win with as many kills as possible. There are 3 lives left. They could easily end this with, quick math right now, 21 points.
I don't think there's any point in denying for what it's worth because of the fact that top 8 go through. There's not much you gain. Well, Tropic have just sort of said, you know what, then I'll stop talking. And there's the quick kill from HS onto James. New Happy, defending champions. They want to retake their throne, and right now they sit atop it for the first game of Group A. Pretty easy in the end, all things considered. That compound was essentially their safe haven.
Yeah, it should be noted, they didn't have to work too terribly hard once the shift started to go their direction around phase 3 or so, but they worked that position very, very well. They didn't just hide out, they were able to get the kills. They almost got 13 if it wasn't for the final deny there at the end by Entropic.
Yeah, that did obviously take a little bit away some of the shine from what was a glorious start for New Happy. But as I sort of touched on, and I know the lads on the desk will talk about it, but EU had a very, very good game here. Entropic, Overpeakers, Na'Vi, Twisted Minds, all performing, all inside of the top 8. Off the back of course, game 1. All right, let's calm down. Obviously, NA's still got a bit of hope. Don't worry, Cammy.
I'm not mad. It's only 1 game. We did well.
They did all right. But no, obviously, I think, as I was saying, EU looking really good off that first game. I did have some question marks. There were some question marks surrounding the region in terms of maybe some of its consistency coming into this particular event. But so far, answered some really good questions. And I see 2 Europeans on the desk right there.